half a day. A month is much too much, or wouldn't you say? A second is too short, an eon too long. A week is just stupid, and so is this song. Ooh, everybody's got a half an hour. Haven't you got a half an hour? This bill only needs a half an hour. So come in and stay.
That's a pretty good lookalike, huh? I hired an artist that drew a picture that actually looks like me. Hello, everyone. Live from Bangkok, Thailand, the video podcast in capital of the world. It's Bill Kirchenbauer and the Kirchenbauer Haffenhauer. Welcome to the show, everyone, for watching. This gentleman helping me is Paul Brumbaugh. He's my sidekick, though I never kick him in the side. And I'd like to give a shout out to the opening, Mike Clark for doing the video, and Jason Willett for doing the music and singing the song. Very talented. This is the second edition of the Kirchenbauer Half an Hour. If you watched the first one, we didn't keep our promise. We went overboard. We went way overboard, and I think we did 45 minutes. And then you learn something, and I learned to put my phone on Do Not Disturb so that when we're doing a video, it doesn't ring. And I forgot it again, so someone might call, but screw them. We're doing this. So this is our second edition. I want to talk about something, obviously. I watched it myself. I think one of the best attributes that a person can have is self-awareness. Being able to objectively somehow look at yourself and be honest and be truthful and not put any filters on yourself. Being able to step back, and it's a hard thing to do, to step back and look at yourself and say, what am I doing right? What am I doing wrong? And that's what I did last week after I did the first show. I did it, and I realized that I just did what I just did, which is I said, and I'm going to stop doing that. I watched it, and I saw myself saying, so many times, and I'm not going to do that. But it's very important to be aware. Very often, I watch a lot of YouTube. I watch all sorts of YouTube, and people get on, and now, anybody with a camera, including myself, can have a video podcast, and they think that it's easy to speak. And during the day when you're, talking with your buddies or working at work, it's okay to be an idiot and say stupid stuff. I mean, I had a guy the other day say, use the word tooken. It's tooken everything and I said, wait a minute, that's not a word, And people, just this evening, I was watching a newscaster, and he said, I could care less about, it's not that I could care less, it's I couldn't care less. And some people will say, well, that's trite. That's, but it's not. Because when people meet you, the first few things they go on, and this is another thing I have a little thing about. People say, don't be so judgmental. Don't judge people. Don't be so judgmental. You're too judgmental. Listen, that's a bunch of bullshit. We are judgmental. We are judgmental animals. You make judgments every day. When you go outside, when you meet people, when you meet a new person, you make judgments. You can't help but make judgments about them. I mean, if they're wearing a mullet, you're going to make a judgment about, this guy's still living in the 1970s. So to say don't make judgments is just bullshit. We all make judgments. We're all judgmental. And for our own safety, it's a built-in thing that nature gave us so we can judge whether we're going to get killed or not. So one thing that people judge you on is how you speak. Now, I'm consider myself to be pretty good at it. I've made a living for years being a stand-up comedian and a broadcaster. And I watch people on YouTube do all sorts of just horrible things. there's a guy I watch that has a cruise show, and this is what's gotten big with YouTubers. This you pointing their hands in your face like this. Oh, and there's a couple of guys that I've seen, uh, and I know they've seen other people do it. They're mukals. They're mukals. They just and they're pointing the camera and pointing, and now if you met somebody at a party and they said, "Hi, how are you?" And then they started pointing their fingers and sticking their fingers in your face and stuff, I think you'd probably walk away. And you'd make judgment on them that they're out of their minds. They're crazy. So I am kind of a little stickler for the way people speak, because even though they may think it's trite, it's very important. It's very important that you have a decent vocabulary. I mean, you don't have to, have the Oxford dictionary in your brain and using big words. After all, the point is to communicate. And if you uh, can't communicate, you're using words that the person that you're talking to doesn't know, then you're kind of, the whole thing is moot. Notice I said moot, not mute. Um, oh, here's another one. I see people say a lot. Calvary. Oh, the cavalry's coming. Hey, they sent for the cavalry. Okay, it's not cavalry. It's cavalry. Cavalry. Here's the difference. Cavalry, cavalry. Similar, but totally different. Now, when I say things like this, I get a lot of flack on that. And I try to help people, actually. I'm not trying to be critical. That's not the point. And professionals understand that. I have, see, I did it again. I went, I did it again. So when I try to sometimes contact people, give them what I consider creative and unsolicited help, when they say awesome all the time, or like, it's like this and I'm like that and they're like this and they're like it, they usually, the normal reaction is fuck you, mind your own business, who are you to tell me? And people that don't learn, and I don't run a car wash, okay, I don't have a restaurant, I'm a professional speaker, I've spoken for ever since I was 3, and I made a living at it. Uh, I consider myself a pretty good speaker. I know the ins and outs of it. So when I tell someone, look, you say like every 10 seconds, you really shouldn't do that. And literally, let me explain what literally means to you, okay? Because you're using it wrong. When I say this, I get nasty feedback, and I sometimes say to them, and they're usually stand-up comedians. I usually say to them, what is it that you want out of this career that you're trying to create? Getting up on stage, doing a show, and I want to be successful. Oh, you want to be successful. You want to go and make a lot of money. How about a sitcom? Would you like a sitcom? Oh yeah, I'd love a sitcom. Oh wow, really? Well, that's good. That's kind of the ultimate thing. You get a sitcom and do movies and stuff. Well, let me just give you a little warning. When you get hired for a sitcom, they have a thing called a director. And what this director does is he comes over to you and he says, do this faster, do this slower, stand over here. By the way, you have a lisp, and don't say awesome, and stick to the lines. And, they gave you direction. Now, you can't take this personally. This is not a personal thing. And just like now, when I'm telling you not to say like every 5 seconds, you're taking it personally. So when you get this TV show and you sign with the network and you're on the set and the director comes up and says, I want you to walk a little faster and talk a little slower. What are you going to do? Say to him, hey, fuck you. Don't tell me what to do. I know what I'm doing. Well, let me tell you how long your career is going to last. You won't be eating lunch at the place. And so amateurs take it personally. They internalize it. They think it's attack upon themselves. And if they're really smart, the people I've worked with over the years, if they listen to good advice from qualified people and are willing to learn, those are the people that advance. The ones that get shitty about it and think they know everything, if you don't learn, you don't go anywhere. And it's just a matter of being self-aware, going back to what I was originally saying. I try to be self-aware. um See, I did it again. When you're working on a show, and I had my little experience with it, it's easy to get carried away. People say, well, people are stars, and they get stuck up, and they get into. And I'll tell you, I'll give you a little example of how this happens. And I had to. I luckily I had my wife. Uh, and she always kept me on a stable ground. Like, fuck you. Who do you think I am? Calm down. Don't go so carried away with yourself. So I actively made an effort to not get carried away with myself. But I'll tell you how it can happen. When you shoot a show and they're doing what they call blocking, which is where you're going to walk and what you're going to do, the cameraman need to have you be able to be pointed at and adjusted. And if you want to go get a drink of water, they don't want you going to get a drink of water. They have people there for you to go get water for you. So the norm turns into, you say to yourself, "Oh, I'm thirsty. Uh, can I get a bottle of water, please?" And someone will go get it for you. And could I have a Kleenex, please? Oh, yeah, yeah, sure, sure, Bill. On my show, I used to sweat so much. I had a guy following me around with one of those battery operated fans. So you can see how you start to get used to be treated like a celebrity. And it's not you; it's just what comes along with it. And I always had to watch myself. I'd say, no, 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 I can feed myself. I can do things for myself. I don't need to be picked up in a limo. I'll drive my own car. Um, I've seen terrible things from other actors. I've seen people snap their fingers at costume people and not say please or thank you or things like that. I knew this one big actor who, at the end of end of the season of shooting the show, he would go into the prop master. Now, you got to understand, a prop master is a very interesting job. They like, if it was a scene I needed a bottle of water, he'd have it. They also prepare food if you have a dinner scene. They do that. So consequently, they have a lot of food and stuff and candies. You want gum? That's another thing. You're on your set, you're rehearsing. Can I get a breath mint? Oh yeah, yeah. And the prop master's he's got all sorts of stuff. But anyway, the star would go in there at the end of the season with like a pillowcase and collect all the leftover. And this is the guy who's probably making $50,000 a year. I'm not going to say who he was, but he would go in there and clear out the prop master from any stuff he had left over. Uh, it's very interesting, a prop master. They have to go through tests. The boy on my show, his name was Matt Shackman. He's a very famous director now. He just did fantastic. He's like the hottest director in town. But when he was on my show, he was 10 years old. And we had to shoot a scene where he ate peanut butter. Now, he was allergic to peanut butter. So when you become a prop master, they give you problems like this. They say, you got a kid, he's on the show, he has to eat peanut butter, but he can't because he's allergic. What do you give him? What do you do to form peanut butter that he can eat and not, go into a coma? And my guy actually had this problem. And what he did was he got butterscotch pudding and filled a Jiffy car, or Jiffy can, or whatever, Skippy, full of butterscotch pudding, which, when picked up with a spoon and eaten, looks like peanut butter. Little Hollywood secret. this is a very circular conversation. I think it all comes back to being able to be aware. And I watched my show last week, and I realized that I said too much, and I apologize. I'm going to try to be better and not say so much, and we can talk about other things. So, how you doing this week, Paul?
Doing well, Bill. And you're right. I think a lot of it for me is speaking with intention. And sometimes as we do in podcasting as well as we do on stage being stand-up comedians, we find those little pauses, those uhs. And it's filler for us. I think sometimes we're told
everybody does it. Everybody
silence
does it.
is going to kill you. It's not going to
conscious of
kill
it.
you. I'm sorry.
No.
Go ahead.
I happen to say only when I'm on the telephone sometimes. I say a lot, and it's just little vocal habits that people pick up that they have to watch, and is one of them. I think it's one of the lesser things. What it is your mouth trying to fill in for dead air.
Right.
And it is a filler word. I call it the lees. There's lots of them. There's actually. I was watching a guy the other night. It was just actually. I went down to the store and actually he this and actually. And if you wanted, you could do that all day long. You could put actually in front of everything. I actually went to the store. I actually bought a potato. I actually got in line. And it's just bullshit. And it's not that you can't use these words. It's don't overuse them. And for God's sake, be conscious of it. People say awesome was driving me crazy. Just awesome. People were using awesome like it was the only adjective in the world. And it has a meaning, and it means awe-inspiring. And if I go into a restaurant and I order a steak and a potato, they have the waiter say awesome. I'm sorry, that's not awesome. The fact that I ordered a steak and a potato, a Hawaiian sunset. Now that's awesome.
Right.
Grand Canyon. That's awesome. So people very often use words they don't even know what the hell they are, what they mean. And I think you hit it on the button. People have to speak with intention and know what they're want to talk about. People are terrible communicators sometimes. I hate it when I'm watching the news and they always want to interview the person in the neighborhood where the thing blew up, or
Right.
the plane crashed, or
Right.
the robbery happened. And sometimes they pick the stupidest people who have absolutely nothing to add to the news story. Well, I saw him walking down the street and boy, he was scary and I ran in my house. Okay, thank you for that. Can we find somebody that can actually make a statement, a soundbite? Anybody ever heard of the word soundbite? It's very important how you speak. Again, people tend to trivialize it with me. They'll say, well, what difference does it make? I said, listen, if you want to sound like an idiot, fine. That's, go ahead, say awesome every 10 seconds or say literally when it doesn't apply. But be aware that people aren't going to look at you all that great. Subconsciously, they really think, what an idiot. So, when you make judgments on people, you meet somebody, you look at their hairstyle. You can't make judgments with me. See, I removed any judgmental hairstyle thing. But you look at the way they're dressed. Are they
Right.
dressed? What do they do with their hair? And very importantly, how they speak. There's a YouTube video vlogger here in Bangkok. God, the guy's got to be in his 40s, but he's got a voice like this. I know that everything is going to be thing, and you should all go down to the thing. And it's like a restaurant where the food is good, but the service sucks. And I watched his show because it's informative, but his voice just doesn't. And I think there's something he could do about it if he was self-aware enough that he does this.
Hey, now that voice did Louis Anderson well for a lot of years.
Yes, but Louis was funny. I see all sorts of things that people do. Oh, there's a guy has a cruise show, and
Mhm.
he talks about cruises, which is an interesting niche of the podcasting. He talks about cruises and what happened on the cruises and stuff, and he takes his hand. Let me see if I can do it for you. And he does this constantly, just constantly. In fact, I made a video of it. I made a. He's always making his palm. It's this hand, as he talks, he looks like he should have a puppet on it,
Well,
or he's
isn't
got a
that
spaz.
distracting?
Oh, it's terribly distracting. And I've sent him messages, and I've said it's called La Vida Loca,
Okay.
or the cruise show, and I can tell the guy's had some radio experience, but he just can't put his hand. And usually, if people do make gestures with their hands, it usually accommodates what they're saying.
Right.
I went over there. This is all. I talked to him on the phone. Things like that. At
Right.
least, but this guy, he just spazzing his hand, and he does this point up and palm out, and then there's another guy, like I said,
Is
that
he
says,
is he captured? Is he a war criminal or a POW? Is he trying to get a message out? What's he
I don't
doing?
know.
I don't
I
know
don't know, but
either.
again, it goes back to self-awareness. We all have to be self-aware. You
Right.
know, I don't want to make this show about the fact that I live in Thailand, but I do. Uh, and one of the things was before I left America, and if you can ever do this, did I talk about this last time
We'll
on the
find
show?
out
I don't
really soon.
going into fast food restaurants and listening to people order. Now, I don't go into McDonald's 2-3 times a year, maybe, or you can pick any fast food place
Right.
and listen to people order. And it usually goes something like this. I'll take or I'll do or something like I wanna, and then the king of all times, give me and I think what happened? Excuse me. What happened to? Could I please have a Big Mac?
Right.
What happened to that? And looking at the person and saying, could I please have a Big Mac and a Coca-Cola and an order of fries? Thank you. Of course, you don't even deal with humans anymore, so I guess you can be rude to a kiosk.
To a
But
kiosk.
but just generally, be aware of what you say and what you do, and I think it'll help you be a better person and make friends and influence people.
One
And
of the biggest
speaking,
filler one of the biggest filler words you mentioned is probably one of my biggest pet peeves, which is like.
like is gone.
Oh,
Amy Schumer.
that's a hard
I
one
used
for me to
I
swallow.
used to
It
watch
really
Amy
is.
Schumer, and I said, some of this stuff is funny, but she's like this Nate Bargatze guy. Like, he's like, I'm like, they're like, it's like, he goes, I go, they go, it goes, I go. People do this, and they get into the habit. And I've sat there with people. I said, let's see if you can talk for a minute without saying like. And there's a lot of basically is another one, and I call it the Lees. Basically, actually, uh, let's see, actually, there's a whole list of most of them end in Lee. But these people, they get it in their, as my dad said, they get it in their craw, and they can't get it out, and it just becomes part of the way they speak. There's a helicopter guy in Los Angeles. Um, I forget what his name is, or I'd say it. I have no problems mentioning names. That's why I do this podcast, actually, because I say whatever the hell I want. I canceled myself when I moved to Thailand, So any flack I might get back from people, I don't really give a shit. Um, okay, and but there's a guy in Los Angeles, and he's a very famous helicopter chasing people pilot, and he says basically all. One time I counted, he said basically 6 times in 30 seconds. Well, basically, it was this, and basically, and to me, basically is kind of a condescending thing to say when you're talking to somebody, because you're saying, look, I know you're too stupid to figure out the complicated part of this, so I'm going to boil it down for your stupid little brain, and basically.
Right. I'm going to dumb it up just for you.
I'm going to dumb it up so you can understand it. And basically, it's just a habit that people get into. They pick these words. They think it makes them sense. Literally is the one that drives me crazy.
Yeah, my old daycare lady, her phrase was evidently. So there's a "ly" for you.
There you
go. Evidently. And she would always use it even when it didn't apply, when it didn't sound right.
No, it's just stuck in her brain there. Obviously, too. People do that.
Right.
Well, obviously I didn't. And obviously it didn't. And obvious, so people take a good look at the way you speak. Listen to yourself. Make a podcast. and you'll see what you do. It's hard. I hosted a talk show on ABC for after Rick Dees left, and I filled in for a week, and I would watch myself interview people, and I would just shake my head and go, "Oh my gosh, Kirchenbauer." That was so. I had this one part. I was interviewing Jason Alexander, and I said something so corny, it just made me want to puke, and I can't watch it to this day. I said something like, "Oh, and that's why everybody loves Seinfeld because it has so much heart."
Yeah, but so you and I are our own worst critics, right?
Well, yeah. Well, you should be. You shouldn't be too hard on yourself, but take a good look at you. Now, listen again. If you're going to just be a person, and you want to go to the baseball game and go to the bar, and you want to say, it's took and all I can do to get this, and if you want to speak like an idiot, that's fine. That's fine. Speak like an idiot in your personal life, but do not take it out into the internet and broadcast it throughout the world without taking a good look at yourself. And I think that hits us at 30 minutes, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for popping in for 30 minutes. Paul Brumball and I appreciate it, and we literally appreciate it. So for the Kirchenbauer Half an Hour, that's episode 2. Come back next week. We'll be doing them every week. Take care.